I was that little girl who ate other people's lunches frequently. But this was not a sustainable gig unless I offered something in exchange. Maybe a nice treat from my snack box or a shiny new pencil. My friends and I, we would talk, we would briefly negotiate in the schoolyard, and we delighted in that process. Maybe many of you have done this when you were younger. This is an example of barter in its purest form. It is simple, direct, and human. But barter is grossly inadequate for the modern and complex world we live in today. So money was invented to be a middleman for lack of a better alternative. Until now. Today, we have a revolutionary new technology which could re-energize barter and change how we think about money itself. That technology is called blockchain. I want to share with you all a vision of an alternative way of living and working. Imagine there is a busy working parent in your town who can somehow manage to give carpool rides in the neighborhood and would like a homestay vacation somewhere on the beach. Or a retired math teacher who can help students with calculus and would really appreciate meal prep help from time to time. Imagine also that we could all gather in a town square where we exchange our wish lists of this is what I can offer and this is what I need on a big community board, such as I can do carpool rides or I would like help with meal prep. And by a magical process, these lists get exchanged over thousands of people till we find the perfect match. Such a world is not far away. And blockchain and barter has everything to do with it. Allow me to explain and highlight some of the blockchain essentials. Blockchain is a foundational technology, much like the internet was considered a few decades ago, in the sense that it provides a platform on which we can build something. The most famous app of that today, as many of you would know, is cryptocurrency like Bitcoins. But that's just only one example of this very powerful technology. At its core, blockchain is a book of accounts, a digital ledger. It is, of course, made up of several blocks who are chained together. We can think of each of those blocks as similar to being a cell in a spreadsheet, except it has far more dimensions. Each of those blocks contain vast amounts of complex data. It can also contain an asset that's represented by a token. And one way to think of this asset and token is the asset is kind of like your bank balance, and the token is that password that allows you to use it. What is this asset? It can be anything that has value for anyone else. If I have a Taylor Swift concert ticket, I can record it as an asset because it is valuable. Each of these blocks is also programmable. We can embed complex instructions in the blocks such that it can go and carry out a task. Say I wanted to give away my Taylor Swift concert ticket by having a contest for who is the youngest fan who has memorized all these lyrics. I could do that and instruct the blockchain to run that contest with minimal manual intervention. Once a block is written, it gets locked down, and no further changes can be made. The block, if we want to make any changes or update, we have to create a new block. So this new block and every subsequent block chains itself to the previous block by a robust encryption process. And an attempt to tamper with one of the blocks will break that sequence and raise an alarm. Once a block is written, it also gets directly distributed to all the users on the network. This ability to directly distribute to all the users creates for a decentralized system, which means we do not need third-party portals for any of the things that we do. This is a seismic shift from where we are today. Today, we have a centralized system, which means all of our activities, buying and selling, watching movies, exchanging emails with each other, our browser searches, and some would say even our living room conversations. Hey, Siri, nothing to see here. All of these are captured and funneled through Google, Facebook, Amazon, and many others. In a decentralized system, we can directly connect with each other, and that is powerful. These are some of the relevant features of blockchain that would enable us to revive and revitalize traditional barter. In traditional barter, we need to have perfect symmetry when we exchange something. For instance, back to the Taylor Swift concert ticket. If I wanted to trade that, say, for a month of carpool tickets, carpool rides, I would need to find that person who is able to give the carpool rides. Then that person has to want this concert ticket. Next, we have to agree that the two are of approximately equal value. And after we do that, we still have the task of tracking those carpool rides since it occurs over a period of time. By using blockchain, we can sidestep this issue of perfect symmetry by decoupling the two sides of the exchange and instead creating a big global chain, a barter chain, if you will. Here is how that would work. First thing, we will record an asset, which is anything that has value. For example, do you have a used but functioning bicycle in your garage that you can give to someone? Or a spare room in your house that someone can stay in? Maybe you can teach someone a specialized skill or a language. Or perhaps you can volunteer at your senior care center in your town. Are you a medical professional who can do clinic visits or telehealth? Or perhaps you're a painter and just created a beautiful masterpiece. All of these are very different activities, but they have one thing in common. They provide value to someone else who can validate the transaction. And once that's done, we can record an asset and have tokens credited to your digital wallet. These tokens can be used in a way that's very similar to loyalty points from your favorite airline. We can exchange those tokens for a bundle of goods and services, since the tokens can be subdivided into smaller units or consolidated into bigger ones. And the best part is, we can do this exchange with anyone on the barter chain, even globally. Since the tokens are not tied to any currency or any country, you can do one part of the transaction, like contribute locally, but receive something from anywhere in the world, and vice versa. Having recorded the asset, the next step is to find that match and perform the exchange. Since the blocks are programmable, we can insert an algorithm for it, similar to what's used in dating apps, to go and find the optimal match for the bundle of goods and services that we want. And once that's done, we can do the exchange, and this doesn't have to be done synchronously. It can be done today, at a point in time, or in the future, or even over a period of time. And it can be done with various people. So this way of blockchain barter is able to combine the best features of blockchain, the tokenization, the decentralized transactions, because then we can exchange with whomever we want, whenever we want, and whatever we want, and at the same time retains the best features of barter exchanges, which is that direct, simple human connection to the people who bring value into our lives. Maybe it is the baker of your bread or the maker of your furniture. Blockchain makes barter viable for the modern world. And I believe incorporating barter exchanges into our world makes it a better place. In this model of blockchain barter, the underlying premise is that everyone has something to contribute. It can range from specialized skills as a professional to unskilled work, to even providing companionship in this oftentimes lonely world. All of these are equally important in society and should be held as equally valuable. To acknowledge and reciprocate these contributions, in order to provide someone with maybe basic necessities, gives all of us a sense of dignity and independence. Barter exchanges could well be the only means of survival for some. It could be an alternative way of working for some others for whom traditional employment models have failed, and increasingly so in this world of AI. And maybe for the rest of us, it's an additional option that helps enrich and enhance our lives. Blockchain barter helps shift our focus from money, the abstract idea, which is often tangled up in this world of financial wizardry and regulations, monetary and interest policies, which are beyond the grasp of most of us, to instead focus on the tangible things and experiences that we as humans want and cherish. And when that happens, I am convinced that the power structures will shift from institutions to individuals. Maybe at this point you are thinking, and I hope you're thinking, okay, I'm so sold, where can I go to sign up? The not so great news is that there are very few blockchain barter exchanges on any meaningful scale. But the good news is that this idea is gaining momentum and finding its way center stage. I am working on a project to create a blockchain barter for contributed services. Good deeds should bring good karma. But why take a chance? Why not amplify it on blockchain? It'll be the karma chain in which you can build a karma balance. And I want to do this because I want to make that vision a reality of us gathering in a town square and with immense simplicity and humanity exchanging and sharing whatever resources and skills we have amongst ourselves. The real challenges to rapid adoption of this technology are mainly to do with outdated ideas and infrastructure and regulations about taxes, international commerce, and trade. And definitely resistance from big tech intermediaries for whom our direct connections and exchanges will be an existential threat. Today, there is a lot of gloom and fear and anxiety about AI and technological shifts that have gone on too rapidly, and many people feel or are about to feel disconnected from the economy. Amidst that, I want to offer a glimmer of hope. Hope that maybe we can collectively make technology a force for good. And maybe using blockchain barter is just going to be one example of us bringing back the simplicity, the human connection of that little girl exchanging lunches in the play yard.